Alright, we're going to do a little bit of a review of the Thinbook Air for my friends over at Mary Mobiles that I got recently from them. If you can see, it's got a similar design to the MacBook Air, however it's a little bit thicker because they included an Ethernet port, but they have the same drop-down USB port and headphone jack like the MacBook Air. The nice thing about this design is that you have access to the hard drive, memory, and a removable battery, which you don't have access to with the MacBook Air. You'll also notice you have a SD card slot and another USB port, and then your power supply. You'll notice that this case is all white and it's made from plastic. Here, to go with the Hackintosh theme, I had a friend cut a custom made pear logo to put on the top that just give a little bit more of a flash. Relatively thin, light, 13.3-inch LCD display, all white keyboard, similar looking touchpad as the MacBook Air. It includes a single click button, however, depending upon if you click on the right or left, you'll get the right or left click buttons. This machine also includes an Intel Atom processor, which runs at a little bit higher, use a little bit more electricity than the processors in the MacBook Air, so your battery life isn't quite as long as it would be with the Apple product. So we'll go ahead and start it up here. On this machine, it came installed with Windows XP, so we had to do a little bit of work to get it to run the OS X operating system. So you'll notice here when it was booting that I was using the Chameleon bootloader, so you could dual boot with either Windows or OS X. In this case, I just have the iDynab 10.5.5 version of OS X installed on this machine. One thing you'll want to note if you're thinking about taking on this project is that if you are going to run the OS X operating system, you're going to need to use one of the versions of OS X that was built to run on PC components, and in doing so you can't run the Apple OS updates once you do get installed. So we're going to get loaded into OS X here. And we'll notice that we got Leopard running. One thing I did have to do, you'll notice right away, is I had to use the Realtek WAN client utility to get the wireless card working. Also, I had to go with a different Wi-Fi card because the one that came installed with it, there was no driver support for the card, so I picked up a Wi-Fi card on eBay. I have an old Gateway, and I picked it up for about $10 with shipping, so it was relatively cheap. And so, in taking on one of these projects, you just want to make sure that before you purchase a Wi-Fi card, that you can go to the manufacturer's website and that they'll have an OS X driver download for it. Other than that, you'll notice that everything works. It runs OS X relatively smooth. I haven't had any problems. The hardest thing was just finding the audio drivers to get the headphone jack and to get sound working, because coming from the Chinese manufacturer, they didn't want to really give too much detail as to what motherboard they used, and I didn't want to pull the whole case apart to find out. But it's a relatively easy project if you're interested in it, and it's a great way to get a portable MacBook Air that not only looks good but works really well at a fraction of the cost. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you have any questions, definitely feel free to contact the Mary Mobile support team. They were a great help with me in getting this machine running.